So I am so impressed. It's day 2, and we've got another full house. So, a big round of applause to all of you for joining us. So we begin day 2 of the 2019 summit here at Oracle. A big thank you again to our Oracle team. I think you can all agree that yesterday was phenomenal. From the venue, to the food, to the music last night, the wine, it was great. And the weather, thank you all for coming to California. The weather was phenomenal too. So I hope you all took lots of pictures, made lots of friends, created lots of new networks that you'll see in the coming months and in the coming quarters as we reunite. So a quick recap of day 1. We started out with the Women in Tech Forum. A big thank you to all the male colleagues that actually joined, my boss being one of them. It was great having the men in the room because the conversation, it's not just about women, but it's about how we can actually create a better working culture. So some of the things that we learned: Latino buying power, $1.7 trillion. That's a lot of money. So I think we all want to participate in that economy, and we all want to be part of not only generating products for that economy, generating services for that economy, but we're definitely participants as buyers. We're growing at 82%. We learned that family and respect are key values that we all share. Ask for what you want. That was very, very compelling. We started out the morning with the ladies on the panel saying, ask for what you want. Don't keep it hidden. Don't think that other people are going to read your mind. Declare your purpose and be present. We then heard about cloud and enterprise and intelligent enterprise, leveraging cloud computing to enable your business agility, building diversity into your culture. And then we also heard Robert Rothman from the Gap International Group, the gravity of change, what it is, and how to break free. So I think yesterday was an action-packed day revolving around cloud, digitization, diversity, inclusiveness, and how we can all together empower the economy. So once again, I want to thank you, Oracle, for hosting us this year. This is their second time. Thank you to all our corporate sponsors. Oracle has generously provided us Wi-Fi access, and I mentioned yesterday that the Wi-Fi access would change on a daily basis. So I asked that you take a picture of the slide so you have the access for today. So the access is different today than it was yesterday. We have the Bizibo. If you haven't done so already, please download the Bizibo app. That gives you the current agenda for your day's activities. And we want you to stay social. We want you to be present, but we also want you to be social. So take pictures, save your comments, and during the breaks, do all your posting. Now I'd like to move into this morning's session. HITEC is focused on making sure that our community members have the skills they need to remain competitive in today's ever-changing technology landscape. During HITEC's last summit, a small group of CIOs and senior technology leaders came together to talk about digital upskilling. To talk about this new initiative, please welcome to the stage HITEC President Omar Duque and Carlos Morera, Health Industries Emerging Technologies Leader of PwC. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we give it up once again for Yvonne Valdez, our amazing MC. Thank you. Hasn't she done an amazing job? I was the MC at the Cisco event a year ago, and I can tell you it is not easy. There is a lot of work and a lot of preparation that goes into being the MC of this event. So Yvonne, thank you so much for stepping up and volunteering to do this. How was everybody's morning? How was our different sessions, our board fit session, our professional track session, and the technology session? What'd you think? Great. So I am really excited about what we're about to talk about. As Yvonne mentioned, in July, or actually in the spring at Bank of America, we came together with PwC and said, how do we bring together our community and begin to take real actionable steps towards building something? And so at Freddie Mac, we brought together a group of about 20 to 25 CIOs and senior executives from the HITEC community and looked at a number of different issues, thinking about what can we do to really have a greater and broader impact in the whole high-tech community. And we looked at different topics and finally landed on the topic of digital upskilling. And I think it's really appropriate. And Yamila yesterday on the panel said something really interesting. She said, if you want a digitally intelligent enterprise, you need digitally intelligent people. And so what we want to do today is present to you this idea that we have, and I'm excited about it because of the capacity that it has to teach us where there are opportunities for us to build additional programming that we can then deliver to the high-tech community. So with that, I'm going to turn over to Carlos Moreira from PwC to talk about some of the work that we've been doing together.
Thank you, Omar. So I'm celebrating my first anniversary with HITEC. A year ago, I joined my first session, and I was super excited about being part of this community, this familia. And for the first time, I stand in front of you now a year later, excited about an opportunity to give back to this familia in terms of what we can do to address that issue around the digital upskilling, making the worker empowered, making all of you a digitized, knowledgeable workforce that can not only take it and benefit for yourselves, but go into your organizations and transform them who are in the need to do so. We talked about the difference between training and upskilling. When I first got here and we did the session with Omar, we talked about educating. We talked about white papers. We talked about concepts. And then we realized, what are we talking about, right? Our people need action. We need to take momentum. We need to drive the education, not just put it out there for people to consume. So we changed our tactics and said, let's make this program work. What can we do to get people in the position right now to get digitally upskilled and take the opportunities that are going to be there in their organizations and bring HITEC not only as a digitally enabled organization, but a leader in digitalization. And I bring you that in the context of us, that we're not just consultants telling you that this is a great idea. PwC is in its third year of digitalization within our organization. We have transformed our ability to work. I was telling Omar that today marks the anniversary for one of our experienced associates who brought forward an idea around how we could automate audit services. And she transformed our ability to do so through digitalizing work that took out millions of hours from doing audits. Millions. She today, or this week, is going to collect her third $750,000 bonus check as a second-year associate out of university because she adopted this digitized work type mindset. So this is not just a concept we're bringing to you. We have gone through this full transformation. We have assessed ourselves. We have digitized our academies to train our people. We have deployed learning for our people. We have enabled and identified accelerators, people who are coaching partners how to do this, because partners are the worst people to learn how to do anything new. So we have actually enabled our younger people to make that transformation to us because they are more adaptable to this reality than we are, and we're ongoing change management. This is our journey. This is what we did to ourselves. This is why I'm here in front of you. And what I'm prepared to offer and what we are prepared to enable through HITEC is an opportunity for you to start your journey. So the opportunity we're bringing to you is that first step, is how do we think about the needs of this community, the needs of this familia? And what we're prepared to do is put a pilot program in place for people in this room, take advantage of, on a first-come, first-served basis, that will basically allow you to assess what your individual capabilities are, your level of acumen, and provide to you an opportunity to understand where you can take action to digitally upskill. This is the beginning of our journey. Why are we doing this? Well, we're doing this because we want to get a sense for what that representative group tells us about our community. And we want to think about the types of things that we can put in place then to help you digitally upskill, to get you up the chain in terms of your abilities, and then from there, you can take it into your organizations, into your own network to see how you can help others become knowledgeable and digitally upskilled, right? This is us leveraging some of our capabilities to help you think about this, and it's also going to help us as a high-tech community think about how do we think about our Hispanic extenders of our community and help them understand this topic and transform. If you've been reading about, and I've been thinking there's been a lot of conversation about digital transformation is going to impact 105 million workers. It doesn't mean 105 million workers are going to be out of work. It means 105 million workers are going to be impacted. Whoops. Impacted by digital upskilling. They're going to be required to know that to keep their jobs. And I don't know if you follow along with what's happening in our educational systems, but I've been at university symposiums. I'm about to go to one next week at Kellogg, where they're not ready. They're not enabling the worker of the future. They're struggling with this concept. They're struggling with their academic capabilities, and they're struggling to get people ready. That could be looked at poorly, or it could be looked at as an opportunity. And we think about a particular familia, and we think about what we can do to spread the word, to educate and promote, and you become catalysts. You become the voice of why that's important. You educate the peer group. You educate your organizations. You take the lead of what that transformation is. And what we're hoping to do with this program, and the first step is, where do we focus? Where do we start? How do we build our program that's specific to high tech in our community and not just generic PwC, because it doesn't matter what we did, it matters what we do. But we're going to leverage some of our capabilities to do that so we can accelerate through this as quickly as possible to make it happen. And it starts with this digital fitness assessment. So what we are proposed and what we have talked about with Omar, and please chime in here, is we're going to start with a group of 50 people, ideally from people in this room, who are going to volunteer to do their own digital assessment. Now, it wouldn't be fair if I didn't tell you what the ground rules are around this, because there are some. First of all, it will be completely anonymous to you, all right? Nobody's going to score you. Nobody's going to know what your scores were other than you. We will commit you to that. Now, we need to know who you are so we can sign you up and go through the prep session to make sure you're ready to do the digital fitness assessment, but the actual output of that individually will only be known to you. Second is that we are going to use the aggregate of that 50 population to understand what is it telling us about this community. Now, granted, it's just a sample, but it's an important sample because we think we need to understand where we're going to make our next move, where we're going to focus some of the high-tech priorities and things of that nature. You want to comment on that?
I think that's a really important piece, and that's something that I think could be really, really valuable for us at HITEC to do a couple of things. Number one, to tell a story, right? To say that this community of Hispanic technology executives and professionals has, however we index, right, strengths in A, B, and C, and tell that story to our corporate partners, tell that story industry-wide, and have that be something that we're proud of and that we are constantly working to improve on. The other piece is to identify where, as an aggregate, right, and anonymity and privacy is a big thing that we talked about, because we wanted to make sure that those protections were in place, and we wanted to make sure that people felt comfortable with the protections that are there. But as an aggregate, to identify where there might be opportunities, where there might be some gaps, so that now we have the data and have that information, so we can go out and either build programming, or in the form of webinars or online classes, or through some of the digital tools that you have or other partners have, and build something that is addressing a real-time need. And I think that that's something really important for us, and why we thought this was a great idea.
Yep. So again, we are excited about the aspect of this, and by no means we're exclusive in terms of this opportunity. We're looking at other business partners to participate. We're looking for your ideas as well as we get through this. But we felt, instead of just rolling something out called digital upskilling, let's get a temperature. Let's get a feel. Let's understand where you are versus where we think you should be. And let's think about, how do we craft the message even to the broader community in terms of what they can do to get on board with this. The acceleration of the app is just a way for us to do it quickly. It is no means the answer or the positioning of any sort. So we want to make sure we just understand where we're going to make the next critical move. The goal here is, if you think about this time next year, right, I want to be able to come back to this group, not only talk about the results of that survey and the benchmarks, and by the way, we have benchmarks across industry, within country, within educational communities, within countries, right? We're actually doing a digital upskilling program for Monaco. We're doing a digital upskilling program for a couple of other Indonesian countries. We're doing for universities, we're doing for high schools, and we're doing for corporations and entities. So this is not going to be just how HITEC performs. We're also going to be able to benchmark in terms of different ways of looking at where we're getting traction around digital upskilling and where there's weaknesses. So we can even help you when you think about your ability to go out and be that curator of knowledge, how you can then educate and help others understand how important it is and where we are in that continuum. Does that make sense? Yes? Yep. Does everybody want to do this? I'll ask that survey again. I think I'm going to re-poll, and then we're going to talk about how we're going to make this happen. Raise your hands if you're digitally upskilling right now. By the virtue of this presentation, you already started your transformation. You know what it is. You know what are some of the critical steps. You know some of the components. You've already started. So those that raised your hand, congratulations, you picked up the trick question, because in essence, you're already starting your digital transformation by knowing what it takes to get there. All right? So, the lucky 50. How do you get to us? So, can we put up the slide, please? Thank you. So using the BizAbo app, or looking for one of these fine, good-looking young gentlemen, well, two of the three are, not this old gentleman. You can either get us a card, or you can sign up and contact us through BizAbo. We will identify those 50. Now, my concern is that we don't want to be too organizational heavy. We're not dispersed enough and diversified. We promise we're not going to be discriminatory in terms of age, sex, or otherwise. But we wanted to at least make sure organizationally or industry we're not too heavy in any one component, that we do get a good demographic. So don't be offended if we say thank you, but
maybe next time.
Maybe next time, because we are intending to even think about rolling out a broader aspect on that digital app. But it's just to get that diversity so we get a good representation of who's going to be part of this. And the lucky thing would be that we are saying no to a couple of you, because we want to have that base 50. That's going to give us a critical sample to be able to do this. I'll pause there before closing comments, but any questions from the audience that I could address? Please.
I think this is a great idea. I'm wondering, do you have any thoughts around how you would tap perhaps the more junior members of our organization who may not be here, but maybe, it may be a great opportunity to connect them with this and pull them into this as part of a larger community? Is that something you're thinking about at this stage?
Yeah, so that question actually came up in a lot of our initial conversations, and even thought about how we apply this to the HITEC Foundation, and at what point, how far down do we go in that talent pipeline? And we wanted to start with our community first, and that's why this is pilot number one. Let's get a baseline for where we are as a community. Let's identify ways that we can work on that education and upskill, and then potentially go further down the pipeline in terms of experience and age and whatnot. So it's certainly something that we're thinking about. But I think it's important to get that baseline from the HITEC community first. But yeah, we're thinking about that.
Okay. I'll finish with this. My son graduated from high school, well, from college, and I'm really stumbling today, from college in May. And he had multiple job offers, from different companies. For some reason, he chose analytics like his father. I don't know. He didn't get it. But he said, look, Dad, what job should I take? And I said, none of them. Be an independent. Use your digital acumen, your digital upskilling, all the things that you and I have gone through, everything that you've learned with your academic setting. Go out there, test the market, and see what you find. And instead of talking about it as a consultant, call yourself a digital accelerator. The phone calls were amazing. And he's basically out of school in his first job making $135 an hour, because that's how critical the skill set is. I don't know how he got that contract. I wish I had that contract when I came out of college, but he did it. So it's not a trend. It's not a fad. It's not, this will come and go. And I think a lot of people believe that. It is the culture. It is what's going to define the worker of the future. And we hope you take it on from an opportunity to educate, but also be an educator in terms of what it means. I thank you for your time, and thank you.